Uh-huh. All right. We've got about 5 more minutes here. I'm going to go back to a swim question for Terry. Debbie asks, why aren't we working more at the back end of the stroke when a majority of our races we get stuck on someone's feet and the front catch gets screwed up?
Why aren't we working on the back end? Well, all right, so what is the back end, I guess? That would be my question. What is the back end of the stroke? I suppose most people would consider the back end of the stroke what happens from the waist back through the hips, if that's the case.
I think so. A lot of drills will talk about finishing the stroke, the finish of the stroke,
Yeah.
and I think that's what they're
So
referring
here's why
to.
we don't work on the back end of the stroke. First of all, the water's already moving, all right? Once you've started it moving in the front, there's nothing more you can do to create propulsion. And actually, no propulsion happens beyond the hip bone. That's been studied in a flume, and there's just no propulsion created beyond the hip bone. And finally, when we look at video of swimmers, even from at the high level of skill, a highly skilled swimmer, even at the low level of skill, the time when you're actually pushing directly back is exceptionally brief. By the time you get to your waist, your hand is already starting to move toward the surface. So the back end is a misconception people have that there's something happening there, and there's not. But as far as the front being messed up because you're on someone's feet, I've been on people's feet hundreds of hours. I've been in hundreds of races, maybe not hundreds of hours, but easily dozens of hours that I've spent swimming on people's feet and still had a fantastic catch, all right, simply because I've practiced taking my time at the catch and not rushing that part of the stroke. I think that's an even more important reason to have a more measured stroke, not to be swimming with a high rate. If you have a high rate, you're not going to have a front end or a back end.
Got it. Let's see. Let's go back to Bobby for a second. There was a question, Bobby, about someone made a comment about how cadence can change for cycling and swimming easily, but less so for running. Running tends to be more at a consistent cadence all the time for a given triathlete. Would you agree with that, and why is that physiologically or biomechanically?
Well, running is very primal, and we all have these internal rhythms, and as Mike pointed out, we don't want to mess with these internal rhythms. If you take an average runner and you have them do a slow run, they'll have their lowest stride rate, whatever that stride rate is. And if you have them sprinting, their stride rate will be considerably higher. So somebody with an easy running stride rate of 88, for example, if they were doing a flat-out sprint, they'd be in the 120, 125 range. So, it moves up with speed as well as with stride length, because that's what running is. It's the stride length times the stride rate. But the better runner can manage things better with rating, whereas the poorer runner tends to try and manage things primarily with stride length, and that's the fatal way to go. The end is close when you do that.
Okay. There's a comment here about I've lost his name and I apologize, but he said that he feels like he's in the Hall of Fame of physiology and technique gurus. So thanks to everyone for coming. And one more swim question, and then we'll wrap up here. Terry, what advice would you have for someone who's this is Paul? He recently separated his shoulder in a crash in a pace line. He says that he has to feel like he increases his strokes per length to take pressure off the AC joint. Do you have any comments about that? I have a comment about that, but I'd like to see what you have to say.
I've separated my shoulder twice in bike crashes, mountain biking, not in a pace line. And after separating my shoulder, what I worked on was really gentle stroking. I mean, feather light pressure, and it was extremely valuable for me because gentle repetitive motion did not inhibit my healing process, and at the same time the gentleness of my stroke really improved my feel of working with the water and really feeling when I had traction with my hand. So I actually found that a valuable time when I was rehabbing from shoulder injury, and it's happened more than once.
So you use the injury as an opportunity to sort of enhance your feel for the water and work on technique to some degree, right?
Yeah, I didn't swim. I didn't swim for the first few days, possibly even to a week. But once I could swim without feeling that I was hurting the healing process, I did swim with really exquisite technique, the most perfect technique I could do, and the gentlest catch pressure, the gentlest, slowest catch I could make. And as I said, a period of a couple of weeks doing that with nothing but gentle stroking, my feel for the water was noticeably improved after that.
Well, it's a great way to take opportunity of injury. The thing that I would comment about that regarding shoulder health and swimming, we talked earlier, Terry, about the range of stroke counts. And so for me, while I'm capable of swimming 14 to 15 strokes across a 25-yard pool, those are extremely long strokes. And if I try to do those with any pressure or effort at all, it's very taxing and fatiguing on my shoulders and on my cardiovascular system. It's equivalent to riding up a hill in a very low gear on a bike. It's very fatiguing, and that would be hard on the knees if you did it on a bike. So translating that to this shoulder, low strokes, extremely low strokes can be stressful on the shoulders. You're making
a great point. If I'm rehabbing from a shoulder injury, I don't even count strokes. It's purely feel.
Great point. Great.